Welcome to the second part of the Youth Count Surveyor Training. In this part, we will go over the first two steps of being a Youth Count Surveyor, which is step 1, preparing to show up for your Youth Count surveying shift, and step 2, starting a Youth Count shift by arriving at your deployment site, joining a survey team, and being assigned census tracts that you will then canvass. Preparing for your Youth Count survey shift. Before your Youth Count shift, you will communicate and confirm with a Youth Count lead from the site that you will be deploying as a surveyor. The Youth Count lead is most often a staff member from the lead youth organization within your community, and deployment sites are most often youth serving organizations in the community. Make sure that you arrive to your deployment site on time and check in with the lead staff when you arrive. Come prepared. Youth Count shifts can be up to 4 hours long. They involve walking or driving and can be in all types of environments and weather. We encourage folks to bring a charged phone, possibly with an extra battery pack if you have one, as well as comfy shoes and clothing. Volunteers should also bring whatever COVID protection supplies that they may need, as well as layered clothing, water bottle, and maybe some snacks. Youth Count surveyors will also need to download the Esri Survey 123 app onto their phone and create an account, but more on that in a later video. Once you arrive at your shift and check in with a site lead, you will then be assigned to a survey team. Survey teams can be at minimum 2 people and up to a car's full. Surveyor teams can be made up of youth organization staff, community volunteers, USC surveyors, LensCo staff, LASA staff or volunteers, and youth navigators. Each survey team will need to identify a team lead. This team lead is primarily responsible for receiving and checking out gift cards that will then be distributed to youth as they complete surveys. They will also be in charge of making sure that we are tracking the completion of census tracts and other things. Each surveyor team will be assigned a group of census tracts that then they will be responsible for canvassing. So what is a census tract? It is a small boundary of geography. You will receive either paper maps as well as be assigned within your app the maps of census tracts that your team will need to canvass. Each census tract will have a unique identification number. The maps will include distinct boundaries. Make sure to reference these boundaries as census tracts are often in very odd shapes and don't always follow the boundaries that we may expect. Census tract maps will also have identified hotspots, which are places in where we would expect to find young people experiencing homelessness based on data that we've collected in the past few months from youth service providers. After you've been assigned a team and assigned a group of census tracts, check in with your team and make a plan before hitting the streets. Will you need to walk or will you have to drive around these census tracts? Where should you start? Who will be doing what? How will you be able to cover the full area? For the youth count, you will need to canvass a census tract. Canvassing a census tract means identifying the borders of the census tract, canvassing all interior streets by walking or driving on both sides of the street. This does mean counting on freeway underpasses, including off-ramps and on-ramps, but always keeping in mind of your safety. Although you will need to canvass the entire area, safety is the most important thing to keep in mind. Do not canvass on private property, school campuses, or inside hospitals. Do not go into areas that are inaccessible for safety or other reasons. If there are reasons you weren't able to access the entire census tract or cover the entire census tract that you were assigned, particularly for safety reasons, you will have the opportunity to make a note for special teams or other teams to come back. When canvassing a tract, you will also want to keep an eye out for hotspots. Hotspots are places that were already identified as known locations where young people experiencing homelessness may hang out. Census tracts will be designated as either hotspot tracts or non-hotspot tracts. A non-hotspot tract means a census tract where we do not expect to find any young people experiencing homelessness. However, this still means we need to cover all areas of the tract and identify if there are any young people and approach them if they could be potentially eligible for the survey. In the next part of the training, we will review how to identify, approach, engage, and survey a young person, i.e., count youth.